we black men, I mean, obviously we're not a monolith, but there's so many different shades of us. There's so many different lifestyles that we have. There's so many different interests that we have, right? But America, tends to paint us with one broad brush.
And the people who love them, where we discuss how men can find and embrace the revolution within themselves, where people can find and embrace the revolution within themselves. I am your host, Dr. Charles Corprew. What's good, revolutionaries? As I say, I hope all is well and you're doing your thing. At the recording of this show, we are preparing for the holidays, and revolutionaries, I'm not preparing for the holidays. As you know, you spent the last 8 years and the last 8 Christmases with me. As you know, it is only, and I say this because I usually don't timestamp the shows. It's December 12th. So, I still got another 11 days before I get into the Christmas spirit. But I hope that you are making your way and doing your thing. And as I always say, that you are in community. And I say this, people ask, why do I say being in community on every show? Because it's important. It helps us thrive. And we think as Black men and people and as humans, community has kept us alive for generations. And the tighter that our communities are, the more that we have the ability to see, one, the mirrors that show us who we are, but how we can be mirrors to other folks and then coalesce for healing, for conversation, for opportunity. And I think about that opportunity to be in community, what it does for our life. It helps us, as we say in the venture capital world, it can help us 10x our life. And so I am hoping that you have found your people, because my people, are vast. The bros, the men of Omega Psi Phi, my pickleball community, my pool community, my boys that I've been with from high school and elementary school and college and grad school. So I'm fortunate. The people who I take walks with on Sunday mornings, the people who invite me over for Thanksgiving dinner, so I'm not alone. Those types of folks, that's my community. So hopefully you're finding your space. And this is the space. This is a part of the community, because for 8 years, almost 9 years now, revolutionaries, we've had this community where I've been able to invite some of the dopest people on this show. And today, as we say, is an ordinary show because my guest is dope as hell. I want to say, this theme of community, I get to meet people in places where they're like, yo, like, I seen this dude, I seen what he's doing, but I get to meet him in person. And that is my man, Jeff Lindor, the founder and CEO of the Gentleman's Factory in Brooklyn, New York. So, dear brother, how are you? And welcome to the What's Your Revolution show.
Oh man, Dr. Charles, it's an honor, it's a privilege, man, and I'm really looking forward to being a part of this conversation. And thank you for having me.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. Jeff, as I say, how are you doing? We just talked in the green room for a second, but how are you?
Well, life has been lifing as everyone, I would say, but I'm really encouraged with all of the lessons that I've learned throughout the years, and how it's strengthened me and made me stronger every single day. So, to answer the question directly, I'm doing well when I just, embrace the fullness of the complexities of this life.
I like that. And you're right. We do have to embrace the fullness of the complexities of who we are, and particularly as Black men, and navigating space as entrepreneurs and founders and people who commune folks, bring them together. And it does, there's a joy, as I sat last night with my chapter brothers at Applebee's, who still goes to Applebee's. They were like, hey, meet us at Applebee's. I was like, I can't remember the last time I was at Applebee's, but it was just 7 or 8 of us sitting around the bar, laughing, joking, pontificating, um, healing. One of my frat brothers, childhood friends, who my frat brother lost his father this year, and we had not seen each other.
Yeah.
And to be able to hug and love on him, and laugh with him as we always do,
Yeah.
Jeff, was very meaningful. As you say, I am well in spite of the complexities of who we are, and particularly as we get older, those complexities begin to be more complex
Mhm.
in navigating the world. So community is everything. And I don't want to spoil the lead. Like I said early, you're the founder and CEO of the Gentleman's Factory. And folks, this is a space in New York City, in Brooklyn, New York. And now you've been able to move this to other spaces around the world.
Mhm.
Tell us about, like, jump in. Tell us just about how the idea of the Gentleman's Factory came about.
Sure, sure, sure. Thank you. It was just isolation, right? It's like,
Mm,
when you add, like, think about it, like, where are the spaces that are designed for us? Or, you know,
mm,
because what I realize is that so many places and spaces we have to fit in, right? But where do
mm.
we go to fit us, right?
Yeah.
And some men have the privilege of, having a man cave in their home,
Mhm,
right? Or a section, right? Or just a peace, right? In their mind, hopefully. But then it's like, how do you really create systems around it and programming around it and, really create intentional spaces? So I was looking for that,
mm,
and I really couldn't find it, and then there were a lot of, like, organizations, that had pieces of it, and then that does, like, a phenomenal job, but I was really looking for a factory, to
mm.
continue to just, like, sharpen me, and I couldn't find it, so that's why I created it.
Yeah, we think about this, as innovators, you find a need, and
Yep.
often that need is something that is within inside of us,
Mhm.
you know, as you said, isolation. And it is interesting as we get older, and I'm hearing a lot of conversations, particularly about men, and as we get older, we become lonelier.
Yeah.
And how hard it is for us to make new friends.
Mhm.
And I have been pretty transparent on the show. Like, um, I'm different. And I say that, I say that cavalierly, is that I am in my mid 50s. I've never been married. I don't have kids. I'm in a relationship, but it's long distance. And so I have found myself oftentimes isolated
Mm.
and looking for community,
Yeah.
and looking for spaces, particularly looking for spaces around professional Black men.
Mhm.
Because um, if you look at the website of the Gentleman's Factory, you're seeing professional Black men, suited and booted, as we like to say, coming together to commune. And often, as you said, I am the only Black man in a lot of spaces that I'm entering.
Mhm.
So where do I go and not feel isolated when I'm this professional, well-educated brother with means,
Mhm.
and I'm looking for that community? I'm looking around, like, when I walk into space, it's just me,
Yeah.
and I do feel isolated.
Yeah.
And then I am, single. I've never been married and no kids. So my community also, they have kids
Yeah.
and families, and
Yeah.
and now they're grandpops and all
Yeah.
the things. And so
Mhm.
it's been interesting that you started this conversation around feeling isolated.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just to add, right? So you got to think about it, right? Like, we Black men, I mean, obviously we're not a monolith, but there's so many different shades of us. There's so many different lifestyles that we have. There's so many different interests that we have, right? But America, tends to paint us with one broad brush, right?
Yes.
But then
Yes.
now it's like at Gentleman's Factory, when I look at, like, the membership community that we've curated, you have, man, that it's intergenerational. So the intergenerational conversations are just so powerful because I'm learning about how life was in the 50s, 60s, right?
Yeah.
And I was
Yes.
born in 1986, right? So it's
Wow.
like,
You're a baby. Baby.
yeah, about to turn 40, right? But
Wow.
but now but now, like, going back to the isolation factor, when you look at just the individualism of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
That isn't like fully explored because, we're not socialized really to one, gain new friends as we get
Mm.
older.
Mhm.
And also, we're also trying to figure out ourselves, right?
Mhm.
As we're going through these different stages of our lives. So it's like, how do we one, you know, continue to grow individually while also growing as a collective with individuals that are also on that same path, right? So that's what we try to curate at Gentleman's Factory because isolation is real.
Yeah, isolation is real, and we think about that from isolation from a mental health
Oh yeah,
standpoint.
for sure.
Yeah, and what that does for our psyche when we're spending more time alone. And I had been really big, Jeff, on like you said, you about to turn 40.
Mhm.
Man, I'm look. Part of me was like, oh man, I would love to go back to 40.
Yeah,
I would love to go back to 40, Jeff, because I mean, 35 to 40, I would have to say, like, those 5 years were some of the best
yeah.
times of my life.
Mm,
And I walked into 40, Jeff, thinking like, oh, shit is about to blow up. Like literally, like
yep.
I'm about to be on it. And literally, it was completely different than what I thought it was gonna be,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So I was like, yeah. Um, but to think about that, from a psyche perspective,
Mhm.
like what it can do, we talk about mental health, and the piece that I wanted to say is longevity.
Yeah.
Our ability to hold on to relationships, our
Yeah.
ability to create new relationships, um, is paramount to our longevity. And I think about both my mother and father. My father was 93 when he passed, but he had vascular dementia.
Mm,
My mother is 85. She has Alzheimer's.
mm,
And so I think about like I think about the DNA and genetics
mm.
lineage that I'm going to have to fight
Yeah, yeah,
to have to live the long life and long mental
yeah,
life
yeah,
that I want to have, knowing the cards are stacked against me.
yeah,
But if you're looking at the research is what you're talking about, is that isolation is a moderating factor for Alzheimer's,
yeah,
but creating community,
yeah,
you know, in now and later in life is going to be paramount to our longevity. And you've heard the statistics, Jeff, because you talk. I'm sure that you've talked about it at length at the Gentleman's Factory. Is that we die earlier than any other
yeah.
gender and race in
Absolutely,
this country.
absolutely.
From literally physical ailments. Heart disease, high blood pressure,
Mhm.
um, prostate disease is more
Yeah,
lethal in black men than it is. And so think about the conversations that you can have at the Gentleman's Factory
yeah.
that then illuminate, well, I need to go to the doctor.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
haven't been, I have, and other brothers are actually going to the doctor. So there's this stigma that can be blown away because, oh, he's talking about going to see the urologist. He's
Absolutely.
talking about going to see the cardiologist. He's talking about therapeutic means. You're providing programming, I'm sure,
Yeah,
that are talking about all these means. Oh, wait a minute. There's a deal that I may be able to get into that I didn't even know about, but I heard about it at this conversation in the
absolutely,
Gentleman's Factory. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing. I would love for you to dive down. What are you seeing? Like, and congratulations to you. You're almost 10 years, 2015 this
Yeah,
open.
yeah,
So
yeah,
next you're at 10 years, you're going into 11. So
yeah.
congratulations on 10 years
Thank you.
of building something. That in itself is remarkable because oftentimes we'll see, well, I started this and 2 years later, it's gone.
Yeah, totally, totally.
10 years. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you.
What have you learned from us coalescing together in your space after 10 years?
Wow, really great question. And what I've learned is that when we come together, we move the world, right?
Mm,
And just the like at Gentleman's Factory, there's like structured programming. So, we
mm,
have fireside chats and we have, workshops and seminars and all of the things, right? And which is important. But I think equally important is just proximity, right?
mm.
It's
Yeah.
just the, like, hallway conversations, or
Mm,
it's the layout after an event, right? Where now, trust is being built, right? And I'm seeing you constantly, right? So, some of the wins, I would say, or some of the highlights is that, a couple of years ago, I went to a wedding with a member, and a fellow member that he met at Gentleman's Factory was his best man, right?
wow.
Or, members started businesses together and exited the businesses, right? With
Mm,
a huge liquidity event, right? Or, just like folks are growing and we have group therapy. So, folks
mm.
are going to the doctor, right? We have a lot of members who are physicians. So, so we're speaking about the importance of a primary care physician, and this is how your relationship with your primary care physician should look like, right? These
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
questions to be asked. So it is the power of intentional spaces, which
Mm,
people feel safe in because now they know that they're not going to be judged, or they know that, oh, like, this is a space that's designed for me. Oh, this is a space where, oh, I can actually talk about, like, what some of the challenges that I'm going through, right? With a community of other brothers who are doing the same thing, right? So,
yeah.
and like we have uncomfortable conversations. We have conversations about politics, right? Not
Mhm.
everyone at Gentleman's Factory is a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. So, we have national candidates that came that
Oh, wow.
so we have
Right.
so we had presidential candidates that came last year, and you know candidates that are running for US Senate in other states in the West Coast, right? So, and obviously locally in what's happening in New York City and New York State,
Yes.
the tri-state area. So, so essentially what I'm saying is that when there is space, when there are spaces that are intentional, even with the differences that we can, commune and respect and love and care because we know that this is the platform that's designed for it.
Yeah, brother, I love that. I love that, and I think what the Jennifer Factory has become is this model for, um, how do I say this? Positive discourse.
Mhm.
Yeah, instead of discord,
Yeah.
and, yeah, and like you said, we have been painted with this broad stroke,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, you walk into Gentleman's Factory, and you're like, "Wait, this is black men?"
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is black men. This is the diversity, as you said. This is the diversity of black men. We are not a
Oh,
monolith.
absolutely.
Monolith. This is who we are, and then you think about the community, a welcoming space. I've been saying the proverbial S word for so long on this show. Safety. What
Mm,
does it look like to be safe
mm,
in a group of folks that look like you, but are as diverse as anything else that we've seen?
mm, mm.
And that I think about when, I think about going to Black Men Excel
Yeah.
and what Alfred has built with Black Enterprise and walking into a room. And I know it's gotten a little bit more corporate over the last couple of years than it has been. I've been going for 6 years and just being able to walk in and be like, oh shit, I'm home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I look, I'm home and feeling safe because I don't know, you may be too young. There was a book where you probably are because if you're turning 40, this book was out when you were a child, but it was called Waiting to Exhale. I don't know if Terry McMillan's Wait.
But I saw the movie, shout out to
Yes, the movie was hard. The movie was hard. The movie
Mary
was
J. Blige,
yeah,
and I'm not gonna
yeah,
cry.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly, exactly. But I also my hypothesis here is that yes, women want to find a way to excel in relationships, Black men want to find a way to exhale
Yeah.
and feel safe. And it sounds like that the Gentleman's Factory has given us this opportunity. And so, folks, if you are, in New York City and you want to check it out, I'm sure, do you have, are there drop in opportunities to come in or?
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, they are. And like in our Bed-Stuy location, we have a barbershop in there, right? So,
Right,
yeah, so folks could come in and book an appointment or just walk in, please.
right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's beautiful. The brothers in New York have opportunities to
Uh,
build. Um, Jeff, I want to talk about your leadership. That's another aspect.
sure.
I think about this. You said you built the Gentleman's Factory because there was a need within inside of you.
Yeah.
But many of us entrepreneurs or non-entrepreneurs say, there's a need and I need to fill it, but don't know how to do it.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, where do you think one, the entrepreneurial spirit came, for you?
yeah,
And then two, how have you been able to execute? Because that's the thing that to be honest with you, Jeff, I get stuck. I'm great at coming up with ideas,
yeah,
but then execution is the bane of my existence.
yeah, yeah.
So how did you move from I got this idea to build a gentleman's factory to then executing on it?
Mm. A few things. One, I would say, um, probably started with my dad, which,
Mm,
I am an immigrant and I came to America with my parents in the late '80s with my 2 sisters. And my father, was a cab driver, right?
wow, yeah.
So that was entrepreneurial because every day when he came home, he would make my sisters and I count, like, how many, like, dollars he had that day, right? So I saw, one, that, he, ate what he killed or killed what he ate, right?
Right.
So that I think was the seed. And, you know, the community of thinkers that I was around, right? So,
Mhm.
I had a community of individuals that were in the political space, in the entrepreneurial space, in the professional space. So I was able to see Black men and women in different, like, industries thriving,
Mhm.
so it
Right.
made that a reality for me.
Mhm.
And, when I then wanted to explore Gentleman's Factory, I then went to those same individuals for
Mm.
capital to say, "Hey,
Yeah.
we launched this," and they believed in me, and then they invested in me. And then from an execution standpoint, it is the ability to just see something in your head and, being able to actualize it, right? And not a lot of people can do that, in which I know, and
Yeah.
stick with it even when times are tough. What then helped me was, one, me constantly educating myself, reading articles,
Yeah.
just improving and just adding value to me on a consistent basis,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And, community, right? It's like talking to individuals that's done it before and even greater, or talking to individuals from like a mental health side to,
Yeah.
make sure that I'm good, right? Or financially, right? So I would say in all, it's two things. One, just constantly improving myself, and also,
Mm.
building community so that when I have these gaps, I have folks that I can call on so that they can
Yeah.
help push me forward.
That's a beautiful thing, and not being afraid. I think for me, sometimes I have been afraid to ask in the communities, that I need some help, that I
Mhm.
need some thought partnership, that I need, and I wonder, I'm curious and I always just want to personalize, are other people stymied by that as well? Like, 'cause they built a community, as they said, but then when it comes time to execute on something, I feel like I'm the only one who can build this.
Mhm.
And I put on the John Henry chip on my shoulder. Like I can build this, but I also know I'm really not good at execution. But wait a minute, so it's like this juxtaposition I've got. Like I'm the only one that can build this because I was like, I don't want to feel like I need to ask for help. But
Yeah.
then it's like, then I think that's the thing I get stymied with. I can't do this by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do this by myself. And it seems like you said, you've gotten past that if it was there anyway. But you also said, hey, I can ask for help.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I can ask for help because we do have gaps.
Yeah.
We do have blind spots in our leadership. We do have places where, you know what? I need some capital
Mhm.
advancement.
Mhm.
And and I may have to go to 10 different folks for this capital advancement, but I've got them
Sure.
and I'm not afraid to ask for it.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
when you're building your dreams and you're building something like Gentleman's Factory, you can't do it alone.
Mhm.
You can't be it's great if you're capital, if you're capital, intensive, but if you're not, where does it go? And if you
Mhm.
don't have those relationships, and I'm thinking as you're probably out there pitching Gentleman's Factory, you're pitching it to the folks that have means that also are needing a space that want to
Absolutely.
coalesce
Absolutely.
together, that want to commune together. And
Absolutely.
like, look, brother, I know that you're looking for something like this. Help me build it.
Yep. 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 Absolutely. For sure. For sure. Yeah. Like, and then I have those conversations every single day, right? Um, because there are, like membership communities like those have existed for centuries, right?
Mm.
But when you look at the intentionality behind what is it that we're doing, that is rare.
Yeah.
Because also um no one really cares about us, right? Like we're an afterthought, right? And they only care when we are either uber or ultra successful, like, so that's
Yeah.
your like gazillionaire, right? And or
The Robert Smiths of the world.
right, for sure,
Mhm.
right? So it's
Mhm.
like that ilk, right? Or the individuals that are facing challenging times, right, in the criminal justice system, or
That's right. Sean Combs.
right, exactly, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just those two extremes.
Mm.
So now it's like, what happens to the brother that wants to, that loves his job, that likes his job, but wants to, you know, become MD at
Mhm.
JP Morgan, right?
Right.
So it's like, or if he has ambitions to be the CEO of JP Morgan, right? Like,
Right.
why can't we dream and why can't we believe that this world is ours too, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And what you're saying, Jeff, I can't be what I can't see.
Mhm. Yep, yep,
Two, if I'm in a room with other folks, one, I have advocates, right? I have mentors,
yep,
you know, I have drivers. When I say drivers, people who will push open the door for you,
absolutely. Absolutely.
and if you don't know where they are and you don't know who they are, then where do you go? But then, oh, wait a minute. I met this brother who works at JP Morgan at an event at the Gentleman's Factory.
Mhm.
Gave me his card, let me reach out, and then let me offer some value prop to him or her that might be amenable to them, and let's build this relationship.
Absolutely.
I think that one of the things, Jeff, that I have been at this stage of my life is that I am the mentor now.
Yeah,
Um, and it is really, really interesting to have young brothers like you or, brothers in their 20s and early 30s reach out and say, "Hey, I'd love to pick your brain
yeah.
on certain things." And then and then I'm like, "Well, okay." And then I start talking. I'm like, and they're just like imbibing. I'm like, "Wow," and I'm like, when did I become this age?
Mm.
you know,
Right.
when did I become? But it's really interesting in this phase, and this intergenerational opportunity that Black men have to then you know really give out information to those who are coming behind us in spaces. I
Mhm.
love, and I've grown to love that. Like I had a conversation with one of my younger colleagues last week, and I thought it was going to be like a 5-minute conversation about work, and then he was like, "Well," he was like, "I would love to be at the stage of life that you are,
Mm.
when I get there." And I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're uber successful. You've done all these different things." And he's like, "I'd like to know how you got there." And I think sometimes for me, Jeff, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a humbling aspect that I will never like see my full success.
Mm.
For me, I'm always striving. Like I'm always like, I'm here, I'm trying to get here. And I'm trying to get
Mhm.
once I get here, I'm trying to get here. And I'm always. And I think I've never really taken the time to look back to see where I've come from,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, but others have. They see, wait a minute, you were a school teacher? You
Mm,
were a baseball coach? You were a professor? You started your first company? You worked at Camelback Ventures and you did really well. Now you're the chief operating officer. You've got a podcast that you've been doing for 9 years that you explode. Like all of these things. And I'm just like, I just get up and go every day,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yep, yep.
right? These were stages of my life that I enjoyed. And to be honest with you, probably the best time of my life, Jeff, is when I was a baseball coach and school teacher. That was fun.
Mm.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I just kept being ambitious.
Yeah, yep, yep.
The point that I'm trying to make here is that as we get older, one, it's our job to then pour back into those that are coming behind us.
Sure.
Two, I think it's an opportunity for us to see our own success, to be humbled by it, to keep striving, but to also remind ourselves that we are a beacon of light for somebody coming behind us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the opportunity to do that, to pour in to pour back into folks. And I think like he started asking me about relationships and success. And I'm often like, look, I'm not the person that you ask for relationship advice. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah, yeah,
but here's the thing. I can tell you where I messed up.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I can give you a roadmap to fuckery, but you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Yeah. But what I hear from you is that opportunity that the Gentleman Factory offers is that I can come in as a young man in my late 20s and early 30s and find someone who has moved through the paces of life,
Absolutely.
who's built success, and I can have a drink, I can smoke a cigar, I can sit in a barbershop, we can coalesce together.
Yep.
Think about that because all along in this conversation today, what I've been feeling like is that you're probably getting too young. There was a movie called Trading Places with
Of
Dan Aykroyd.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
sit in your
Classic.
right. But you remember them going into the what I'll call the boys club,
Yep.
reading the news, all of, and I'm thinking, I was like, where was that space for us?
Yeah.
The Gentleman's Factory is that space.
Absolutely.
It's cooler, it's less stuffy, and it's welcoming and safe for us. And I
Mm,
love that. I love that because who brothers love to get dressed up and go and look good and be amongst each other. There's nothing wrong with that.
yep,
It's a
yep.
wonderful thing. Yeah. What does that look like in space, Jeff? I mean, tell me, you walk in and you're seeing all these brothers suited and booted. What does that feel like that that I created this?
Like it feels you know, rewarding to see just an idea that you have in your head being
Mhm.
manifested and turned into an experience, you know?
Yeah.
So, where like meaningful impact is being had, right? Where individuals' lives are being changed. And everything starts with relationships. Everything starts
Yeah.
with a conversation and it opens it up to so much more, right? So it is rewarding to just see that, where we are solving this isolation
Mhm.
factor. And it's comprehensive, right? So it's like from a wealth building standpoint, yeah, like, we'll have a workshop on, the markets and
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
tariffs are impacting the
Mm.
economy, etc.
Right.
And
Right.
then we'll also have a conversation about, with a dietitian on
Mm.
what foods to eat during the holidays, right? That would impact your health, right?
Not Patty LaBelle's sweet potato pie.
Right, 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 right. You know what I
Not
mean?
hating on you, Patty. That pie is good.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
To then like every Monday we have this AXA expert series, which is
Mm.
virtual, right? So next Monday, so this coming Monday, we have a member who's a senior software engineer for one of the largest fintech companies. And the conversation is about AI and how to maximize it and how to fully leverage it to be more productive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of these things, right? So it is again just a beautiful sight to see that, the team and I are really, creating experiences that sharpens us every time we interact with the platform that we built.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Jeff. Just to think like Every day you get to walk in and say, "I built this." You know, I built this, and ironically, this was my revolution. I did not want to be isolated, so my revolution is to build the gentleman's factory so that I can provide a space for brothers so they won't feel like I felt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
You know, I think about that. Um, Before we get out of here, Jeff, and I appreciate the time, you said something that I wanna come back to, like doing work on yourself,
hmm
and it is interesting having that conversation with mature men who are self-aware to say, "I need
Yeah,
to do."
yeah,
Like, what is that if you're willing to,
yeah.
what does that look like for you to work on yourself?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, really good question. It's one doing an analysis on where you are, who you are, what moves you, what makes you tick, and also, just seeing what are the areas that you really need to improve in, right? So
Yeah.
it's just doing like a deep scan, right? And how that looks like for me is, therapy was really helpful for me. Like I was in therapy for about 7 years, and just
Mhm.
unpacking things that I didn't even realize that I needed to unpack.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so then that opened up. And I'm a father of two. I have a 15-year-old and a
Wow.
12-year-old,
Didn't know,
right?
congratulations.
Yeah, yeah, no, thank you, so fatherhood and, like, I actually had a conversation with my son recently. I was like, "Listen, like, you had so many different versions of me," and he was like, "Yeah, I know." I was like, "Easy, easy, easy," right? Um, so fatherhood, I was married, and, I was, married for, what, 12 years, and, like, I've been divorced for a couple of years now, so just, like,
Mhm.
understanding the relationship space and healing
Yeah.
from that, right? So all of those things have absolutely shaped me and
Mhm.
it's relearning myself and all of the things, right? But I am really happy because of the work that I've done, I've been able to heal and be a better, dad and have an
Mm.
amazing co-parenting relationship with my
Yeah, it's
ex-wife, right?
beautiful.
And just like, like I feel light and loose I
Mhm.
because I'm continuing to do the work.
Yeah. Brother, I appreciate you sharing that because we often get to these places and we realize that parts of us have to die
Yeah, yeah,
to get to the I say better and best version of ourselves. Better because we're working and
yeah,
best as the goal. Like
yeah,
I want to see and be the best version of ourselves. And, as black men, we come up with a lot of things, our trajectories, initially are, given to us by our parenting and our friend groups and all the different things and our experiences of great things as well as the trauma.
yep,
And then once, like you said, once we realize like I wanna be different. I wanna really see, I wanna hold up the mirror, and oftentimes, F and tell me if I'm wrong, it's not us holding up the mirror, somebody else is holding up the mirror
yeah, yeah,
and showing us, and sometimes it takes a long time for us to look back at the mirror that's being held up at to
mhm,
us. But once we do see that, and you're like, "Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really like this." Then what?
mm, yeah,
Then what? And I applaud you, for being in therapy for so long. I was in therapy for 10 years,
yeah, wow,
you know,
yep,
10,
yep,
10 years. And my revolutionaries now walked into my therapist's office and said, "Hey, I'm a piece of shit. And I'm not,
mm,
look, and I'm not trying to be this version of myself."
yeah, yeah,
And 10 years worth of work. And I love being able to say, like, it looks like that you're very effusive about this version of
yeah,
Jeff Lindor.
absolutely, absolutely,
I am as well about Charles Corprew, and it took time to get here. It took time to be like, I love myself. I
yeah,
love this version of me, the one that steps out freely into the world, that tells the truth.
yeah,
Right? We think something as simple as telling the truth would be so hard, but there are versions of me that did not tell the truth,
that's a fact,
and being able, even hard, like, I need to say this, and I'm going to say this even though it may not make you feel good. It is
mhm,
my responsibility to say that because I grew up a people pleaser.
mm, mm,
And so I applaud you saying, like, I continue to do the work and continue to show up because guess what happens, Jeff?
Mm,
When you walk into the gentleman's factory as this version of you,
mm,
people see that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, people see that. People see the founder and CEO of the Gentleman's Factory. They see this brother who brings other brothers together.
Mhm,
They see the power that you provide
mhm.
because even in simplistic, you are simply providing a space, right? At the ground floor of this, Jeff, you're providing a space for us to come in to be our most authentic versions of ourselves together.
Mhm.
And then let's just say if you didn't have it together, people see that. It'll be like the toxicity of
No,
that
yeah,
is,
for sure, for sure.
wait a minute, but now this brother has created this space where I can go in and look at him.
Mhm.
Look at Jeff Lindor. You know, I want to be around him and I want to be around these other because then you model how others act and
Yeah,
perform
yeah.
in the space. So I applaud you for that and what you're building. I'm
Thank you.
excited, I'm excited to at some point walk in the doors and
Yes,
feel the
yes,
power of what you've built, the
yeah.
power of your revolution. So I gotta ask you, like, ultimately I think we know, but what is your revolution at this point?
The revolution should not be televised. No, I'm not playing. I always wanted to say that. I always wanted to say that. No, I think the revolution is just continuing to help revolutionize the mind of brothers, right?
Mm,
So it's like it's not a space that we've built or spaces, etc., but it's like what happens at the spaces, right? So it's like, you know, building a platform that is making brothers go to the doctor, right? Or
mm.
building a platform that brothers now are able to start a business or believe that they can, right?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
It's starting a platform for brothers to be honest with themselves, right? Like I remember when I was going through a divorce, like I had Gentleman's Factory and I had gentlemen there, who I
Yeah. Mhm,
felt safe with and who I
mhm.
trusted, who were much older than me, and they were, essentially like, helping me throughout the process and, teaching me about co-parenting and
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
the things, right? And also holding me accountable, etc. Right. So, it's those things and those experiences that now, as I leave and go out into the world, that I'm better, that I'm stronger, that I'm faster,
yeah.
that I'm brighter.
Mhm.
And if that is, and if I'm experiencing that as someone who is a part of Genom's Factor, yeah, like, and benefiting from the experiences there as a brother, right? So then so many others feel the same way, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, like I think that that's really what the revolution is.
Yeah. Yeah, revolutionizing the mindsets. I love that. Brother, look, I told you that you're a busy man.
And
Look, with all those bells and whistles going off, we're not gonna hold you up, brother.
and,
I just wanna say thank you, for one, who you are in the world. 2, for building a space for folks like us to be able to move in and be the most revolutionary versions of themselves.
yeah.
You know, that's amazing. And brother, I wish you continued success as you build out this, not only in New York, but across the world,
Mm.
because we need this space. I keep thinking about like, how do I even build something small here in Norfolk, Virginia? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yep, yep.
That would allow me to not walk into these boardrooms and be like, "Where are you?
Yeah,
I'm looking for you."
yep,
You know? And thinking like, I don't feel safe. I just want a place to feel
yeah,
safe."
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. So keep
Absolutely.
building, keep striving, and keep this revolution going, brother.
Oh, no,
Thank you
man.
so
Thank
much.
you, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.